Hey everyone, it's Alex, and you're listening to the Everyday Stories podcast, a podcast about the everyday stories from the people you know and the people you don't know, here to help you learn a thing or two about life and the stories that define us. Today, we're talking to Isa2, who goes by ISO. ISO is 26 years old, born in Gambia, West Africa, grew up in the Bronx, and now lives in New Jersey. ISO is passionate about psychology, learning about people, and having meaningful, thought-provoking conversations. So hopefully this is a thought-provoking conversation that we have today. ISO, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm so
My
excited about
goodness.
this.
Of course. So I know the first thing that you said to me is, and I quote, "I'm really shy, so this is completely out of my comfort zone." My
Absolutely.
question for you is, why did you decide to do this podcast?
At the top of the year, I decided that I'm gonna just face my fears and I'm gonna get back into doing all the things that I loved doing when I was younger. And I created a Substack to start writing, which is something that I really loved. And then I came across a post that you had, which said ISO, and I forgot what the rest was, to be honest. I guess it was something that had to do with recording a podcast or like who wants to join and stuff like that. But when I saw basically my name up there, I was like, you know what? She's calling out for me, so I have to do this. And it actually, I was so scared. I kind of was praying, and I'm just like, hopefully she cancels. Hopefully it doesn't work out. But every single time, it just ended up being able to work out. So here we
Yeah.
are. Yeah.
Also, what's so funny for people that are listening to the podcast is I basically put out a note on Substack, which is kind of like a tweet, a little text-based post saying like ISO, like podcast guests, XYZ, whatever. And you interpreted it as like, I am talking to you, like all caps, that's your name.
Yeah.
But what ISO, before we started actually recording this podcast, didn't know what ISO meant, which was in search of, like podcast guests. But either way, it was meant to be for us to be talking here today.
Yeah.
In terms of like being shy, I kind of want to unpack that a little bit too. Were you always shy growing up? Like, or has that shyness like evolved in some sort of way?
I guess when I was like, until I was in my teen years, I was not a shy person. Like, I was quiet and like, I was very observant and I would just, be doing my own thing. I was always an introvert, but shy, not really. Like if I seen something that I wanted or I wanted to say something or I just wanted to reach out, like whatever it was, I kind of just went for it. I didn't really think twice. I always kind of like loved putting myself out there. I was one of those kids that was like, I had a Tumblr, I had a Twitter. I had every single social media you could think of, and I used to
Yep.
like be on the game chat, like the chat rooms.
Yeah.
So I kind of just I loved interacting with people. I just loved just talking to others and getting a feel of where they come from, what they thought, and just learning about them. But over the years, as I had experiences, I feel like I just had a lot of shame, I guess, and like coming from my background, we're very conservative. And I feel like with my family, it was kind of like, okay, well, you don't want to embarrass the family, which made me feel like, okay, you know what? Let me just turn it down a little bit. And then in relationships where my partners kind of would dim my light a little bit, it made me more insecure and more aware of how people perceive me and in my friendships and all of that stuff. So over the years, I feel like I've definitely become very, very shy and I'm very much in my head. And I kind of just don't really like people just coming into my space and like making me feel worse about myself because I feel like I'm just always overthinking and wondering like what somebody else is thinking about me. So yeah.
That is so interesting because I feel like oftentimes as kids, because I grew up being like very introverted and like really shy. Like I could not talk to people. And it was only like later in life where like they say like your shell like opens up and like I became so much more talkative. I don't know even what like prompted that in the first place, but I feel like to do like the opposite transition of, yes,
Mm-hmm.
you're introverted, but you're not shy. So you're like willing to like talk to people, but
Mm-hmm.
then to like almost like go back in because of the environments you grew up in.
Yeah.
That is like really interesting to me. But you talked about like shame,
Mm-hmm.
um, growing up. Ta
Yeah.
what was that like shameful environment like?
I mean, like, so in the African household, it's more so like, well, what is this person gonna think? What is this person gonna say? And for me, I was just a person like I'm just very curious about the world. And I really don't care what people think, if I'm being honest. And I'm a person like, if it's the truth, like it doesn't matter to me. Like, let's just say somebody says something, but I know that it's something that I did or said. I'm gonna own it. Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, that's just is the truth. I can't fight that. But in my culture, it's more so like you don't you have to keep everything private just because you don't want outsiders knowing anything about you and just kind of like having to fake it till you make it, which was
Mm,
really, that's actually a big thing in my life still to this day. I don't know how to fake it till I make it. Like, I am just who I am. Like, I don't know how to, and it's always felt like I just needed to just bring myself down a little bit just so people don't think a certain way about me, which every single time I've made decisions, especially when I was younger, because I was kind of a little reckless.
mm,
And my family would, tell me like, well, this person's gonna think this person's gonna say this. Or people would just tell me how they felt about my actions. Like, it's just like, you need to stop doing this because it looked like this. And I was just like, you know what? Maybe I'm just not living the way that I'm supposed to. And it just made me feel like I'm too different in the world and I just need to just stop. Like, I just need to stop. My personality,
mm.
everything that I'm doing, I just need to stop and be what everybody else wants me to be. Because however I'm being, it's not acceptable and it's not okay. So I feel like that's where the shame came from and some other things. But
Interesting.
at first,
Yeah.
that's where it started.
Yeah. Do you feel like now you are still in a place where you feel like you can't be, or you have to almost like stop yourself or hold yourself instead of like letting yourself go free? Do you feel like still that restrictions that you're putting on yourself?
I feel like since this year started, I've been working on getting out of it. Hence this happening. Um, it's actually, I feel like it's a really big battle for me that I feel like not now. I feel like previously I did care so much what people said. Like, okay, well, I want to be a likable person. I want people to enjoy being in my space. I want to not give off these vibes. And I have no idea what vibes I'm giving off to people that, like it's making them feel uncomfortable. Or I just kind of wanted to be a pleasant person to be around. Until recently, I've decided that like, I'm not even pleased with the people that I'm around. Like, I'm not even happy being in your presence. So why do I have to be the pleasant person to be around when you're not even a pleasant person to be around yourself? Like,
Mm,
it just, I feel like this year I found that all the people that I was performing for or wanted to be a certain way for, I didn't even value their opinions, if I'm being honest. Like, I didn't want to be like them. I didn't really care what they thought because I've, so I work in caregiving, and recently there's this lady that I was working with, and I noticed that she had so many friends, like people would just call her, checking up on her and all that stuff. And I admired it. But then I realized that she is not comfortable in her own skin. Like, she would wake up in the morning and look in the mirror and she's so mean to herself. And I'm like, I don't
mm.
have these insecurities. Like, I'm not somebody that wakes up, even if I look crazy. It's like, okay, well, today is just, it's just one of those days.
Yeah,
Like, it
yeah.
doesn't, I don't really care about, there's certain things I really just don't care about. But then I realized that other people don't have the fears that I have. And I also don't have the fears that other people have. And the things that people value, I don't value those things. So I needed to figure out what it was that I valued that I needed in friendships or relationships that I need to have in my life that are fulfilling. It's not about what everybody else thinks is important, because that's not what's important to me. And that's why I felt like I was carrying shame and just feeling like I needed to dim down my personality, because I kind of was going off of other people's values and not my own. And I feel
Yeah.
like since I've started just getting back to who I am at my core, I don't know, I've been really happy.
I no, you bring up such a good point. One, I feel like when you surround yourself with certain people, like growing up, for
Mm-hmm.
example, like
Yeah.
I can kind of relate to your story because a lot of the friends that I had growing up were not necessarily by choice. It was
Mm-hmm.
more of like I grew up competitively swimming for many, many years. And a lot of my
Mm-hmm.
really close friends were just people that were on our team that were just like, okay, we're spending all this time together. We might as well get along. And
Mm-hmm.
it also happened like through I went to a really small high school, and in college again
Mm-hmm.
was also on a swim team where like all of my friends were on the team. It truly wasn't until I moved to New York where I knew like maybe one or two people that had moved to
Mm-hmm.
the city. Otherwise, I was like, okay, well, I got to restart like all of my friendships and community in the city from the ground up. And that was
Mm-hmm.
the first time that I was able to choose friends who like value the same things that I value. Obviously, you can have different values too and still love your friends,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
but it was a community that I was able to build for myself
Mm-hmm.
that like some of the friends that I have now, I would have never met them growing up because
Mm-hmm.
just under the circumstances I was in, I wasn't given that opportunity. But now
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I have found a community that really understands who I am, really values me, and I value them so much so. And I've learned so much like through them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think to your point about like just doing you, I think at the end of the day, if you just be yourself and love yourself and do all the things that you are doing to like uplift yourself, it
Mm-hmm.
will draw like the friendships that you want and that will really value you for you, and they'll
Mm-hmm.
come in. Like it'll just happen naturally, I think more so than trying to like pick and pull strings.
Mm-hmm.
So I think like the direction that you're talking about in terms of just kind of like doing what is best for you, I
Mm-hmm.
think like that community and those friendships that are really true, like that you will truly value, will
Mm-hmm.
come afterwards.
I'm hoping so. I actually ended pretty much all of my friendships like last month, because I realized that there are some things that I need in a friendship that if I don't have that, I don't value the person that is in front of me. And it's not fair for me to keep somebody around just to fill up space. There's no point in that. And um, I wanted to make space for myself to find new people. And I also wanted to make space for them to find people that more so resonate with them and where they're at
Mm,
in life. And it has
yeah.
been something that it was really hard, to be honest, because I love all my friends and I have been surrounded by really good people. There's nobody that I've ever been in friendship with that I don't at least admire in some way. I think they're genuinely great people. I had to realize that sometimes somebody's a good person, but that doesn't mean they're for you.
Hmm.
And unfortunately, it just seemed as though that those people weren't the people that I saw myself having the friendships that I want to have. And hopefully, I'm hoping sometime soon that I'm able to just find like a community of people that resonate with who I am. And the only way I'm going to be able to do that is by being myself. And I'm trying to do that now.
Yeah. What what you just brought up is such a like situation that I think a lot of people can relate to or really struggle with,
Yeah,
is ending friendships,
it's
because
hard.
like a lot of times friendships are not forever. Like we evolve as human beings just the same as like our romantic relationship, where
Hmm.
like it can be this lovely, beautiful thing, but sometimes it just doesn't work out. I think
Right.
everyone says like, your friends can be for forever. And yes, to an extent, that can be true. But nobody ever talks about like when like two people evolve within a friendship and it's just like not working,
Hmm.
how can one end it? So I'm curious for you, when you were ending your friendships, like how did you go about doing it?
So I am a ghoster. I'm not proud to say it. Well, I was. Let me fix that. I was a ghoster. I used to just feel something and then I did. Like never to be found again. I wouldn't even communicate, like, because I probably would have said something beforehand. And if you didn't catch it or you didn't really value what that meant, I was serious about it and I'm not going to repeat myself again. So I'm just like, all right, I already see you for who you are. I see this for what it is and I'm done. But because these were people that I cared about so much, and it wasn't even in like I didn't feel negatively about them, which is actually something really important. Like sometimes not all breakups have to be a negative thing. Like something bad doesn't have to happen. And it doesn't have to mean like you hate this person or I don't like this person anymore. No, like we're just growing in different ways and it's okay. We're just not aligned right now. Maybe we'll be aligned another time, but right now we're just not aligned and it's okay. So for all of my friends, I kind of just, unfortunately, I sent a text. I guess each text was different, but I just kind of explained exactly where I'm at, what I needed. And I just felt as though, like, I just don't see this going where I wanted it to go. And I have to end it. And some of the responses, some of them made me feel really horrible, to be honest, because I felt really guilty. Because it's like,
Mm,
I never want my friends to feel like I'm not grateful for them. I don't value them. I didn't care about them, or I was using them, because that's not the kind of person I am. And like I said, I really care about what people think of me. I really cared about what people think of me. And as a person that, the kind of person I am, I really value my friendships. Like, they're like my family, which is why I hold on for so long and I just overlook a lot of things because I
mm,
really just care a lot. And I care, relationships deep, like just in general, I care deeply about people that I have, that have access to me and I have access to them. So I didn't want to make them feel any type of way. And some of the feedback I was getting from them, it just wasn't positive. Like I just didn't. There was one person that was like, like they're really hurt by what I said. And it's like, I don't know how like I'm supposed to say this. There's no good way to say, I don't want to have this friendship with you, or
yeah.
I'm not, like, I don't have any desire for this anymore. But it is like, it is what it is kind of thing. And I
Yeah.
had to sit with that guilt and that heavy burden on me for, I'm kind of still dealing with it now, to be honest, because sometimes I would think about it and I'm just like, maybe I should send them some flowers and say, I'm so sorry. Like, I didn't want to hurt your feelings. I just have to do what's best for me. But, and like one of my other friends, their birthday was, yesterday. And it was really hard for me to just sit still and like, damn, like, maybe they really do feel like I don't care about them, but I do. And like, I am thinking about you on your birthday. And it's like, I don't want to give
Yeah.
off the wrong impression and like send you flowers and be like, happy birthday. And I love you so much. And I'm so sorry that I had to
Mm,
cut you off. But it's like, I'm not responsible for how they view me anymore. Like, it is what's best for me and it's what's best for this. And whatever happens afterwards, it's not in my control. And I can only control how I feel and what I said. And I said it in the best way I could. And
yeah.
everything else is just kind of like up in the air thing.
Damn.
Yeah.
I definitely think that like you should not hold on to that guilt. And I know it probably like eats you up inside and like the overthinking through all these different
Yeah.
things. Like, do I send them flowers? I don't know. But I think at the end of the day, and unfortunately, like you didn't have like the greatest response from people because obviously,
Mm-hmm.
like, again, as you said, there's no like good way to go about doing it, but you
Mm-hmm.
had to do what's best for yourself. But I
Mm-hmm.
think at the end of the day, it's probably best for like both parties. I mean, to just like send a text is like because I'm trying to picture like the friendships that I have and like thinking about, I mean, have there been like some friendships that I've ended? Yes, but I also like kind of ghosted and like, or like maybe I don't know if I ever like really sent a text, but kind of just like fades out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I think at
Fair.
the end of the day, it comes from a place of love.
Yes.
Like a lot of, I think oftentimes when there is some sort of conflict or like confrontation
Mm-hmm.
through this could be like work life, personal life, like family, friends, romantic relationships, anything along those lines,
Mm-hmm.
if you are criticizing something for about someone, sometimes obviously can come off as like anger,
Mm-hmm.
or you're like in reaction to something that has been hurtful to you.
Mm-hmm.
But in like this situation, at least like you ending your friendships, it truly sounds like it's coming from a place of love, of like,
It is.
I love and care about you. And I
Mm-hmm.
think, yes, this sucks that like I need to end this, but I
Mm-hmm.
think we're going to be better off as people if we just like live our own lives. And
Yeah.
also, it's not to say that you can't be like, you both parties like evolve into beautiful human beings and you can come back together and reconnect.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not for forever, or maybe it
Mm-hmm.
is for forever. Then we could
You
talk about
never know.
that.
It could be.
Yeah, but again, like I think at the end of the day, like it is coming from a place of love. And I
Yeah.
think people just need to understand that, because I'm also like too, I'm not afraid of confrontation. Like I'm gonna say it how it is.
Yeah.
And so some people like it can be really hard for people to take that. But I think at the end of the day, like everything that, at least for what I am saying, is always coming
Mm-hmm.
from a place of love. Like we need to hear this, because like
Mm-hmm.
we just have to address this that's
If you
going
don't
on. Like,
address what's at the root, how are you going? How is that going
yes,
to? You have
no,
to fix
I
it at the root. And people, they just like to make it pretty on the, on the outside and like surface level shit. That's not who I am. Like, I'm not gonna do that because it's gonna fester. It's gonna turn to something else, and that's just not beneficial to anybody. Like, I'd rather just fix it. If we can fix it, let's just fix it, like right here. And if we can't, let's just leave it alone. You go your way, I go my
totally.
way, and I will still love you. But thankfully for me, there's this one person that I met in college, and every single time I'm able to speak about her, I will, because to be honest, she has changed my life, and she's the reason why I even sent those text messages, because I was the kind of person, even in my relationship, like romantically, I would just always just disappear and I wouldn't really end them, which they always come back every single time. There's like, I'm very notorious for being the girl that always spins the block. Like I'm always coming back, and because it's never finished. And I don't want to have lingering energies with anybody anymore. Like I just kind of want to let's just end this. If an opportunity comes where we're able to fix it or work it out, or even just align in a different way in the future, I'm open to that. But right now, it's just not working. And I'm not going to just keep it here because for what? Like you're taking up space where I can have it for something else.
Yeah. Well, I think at the
Yeah.
end of the day, too, life is short, life is
Yeah.
also long. But if every day is like, it's kind of like our ticking clock of like, okay, you have one less day. How are
Mm-hmm.
you going to be utilizing that time? And if
Exactly.
it's trying to fill it with friendships that you don't feel are genuine,
Mm-hmm.
then at the end of the day, what is the point of having that?
No.
It's same can go again for like anything in life that
Mm-hmm.
doesn't bring you value. Like maybe it's like a romantic relationship, or maybe it's something like work wise where you're not
Mm-hmm.
feeling like stimulated, or that you don't really like love doing your job. Yeah, like yes,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, like not to say everyone just leave their job if they're not happy with it, because
I
I
do
think
that.
like we have to think about like logistics too, and also job market crazy. Um,
Oh, I know,
but
but
like,
I'm,
but I think at the end of the day, it's like you want to do things that like that you value, that are going to
yes,
bring you joy, happiness, like fulfillment
yes,
in life. Because if you don't
yes.
have that, then what is the point of life? You know? I actually wanted to get into your Substack.
Okay.
So I know that it is called The Art of Blossoming.
Yes.
So how long have you been writing on Substack? Why did you decide to start it?
I think it's been a little over a month. I started in January sometime. I think towards the end of it. I actually started out doing a WordPress, like a blog, because I had one day. So normally I journal in my notes, and I've always liked to write. Like that's the way I process all my emotions. I had this really tough day, and I just started writing. And I'm like, maybe I do want to share this with people because like I've experienced a lot in life, and I've always been like the person that gives really great advice. And I don't know, like I feel like I have a lot to say. So I'm like, let me start writing. I started doing creating a WordPress. I started creating the whole blog and everything. And then when it actually looked so nice, ready to go, I saw the app Substack. I'm like, oh, shit, maybe this is even better. Cause this is like Twitter, but like for writing. Like, let me do this. So I started writing on there, and I love it so much. Like, I'm actually always inspired. I'm always like, maybe I'm writing too much. Like, like I'm one of those people, like sometimes I don't even want to send my newsletters to the people that subscribe to me, because I'm like, they're probably like, why is this girl always writing? But it's like I kind of find so much joy in it. And yeah, it's something that really actually fills me. And I have no idea where I'm going to take it, to be honest. I'm just writing about things that I care about. And it's been
Yeah.
helping me actually just find myself. So it's kind of
Mm,
more so for me, but like if somebody else finds it beneficial, yay. Congratulations. I'm happy for you. But like it's
yeah.
more so for me to actually just let out everything that's been in here.
I was going to say, when you say that your Substack is a way of you to almost find yourself,
Mm-hmm.
is it because your writing is almost like your own journal, your own thoughts that you can just let out and process, and through that, like being able to reflect and like find yourself through that writing?
Kind of, yes. So I had quit my job, and I wrote like a whole thing about like when a job is not aligning with you, like, leave. And then when I was done writing, and I'm like reading back to it, how does this sound? Does this sound like I'm being super emotional? Because I always get like, you're so sensitive, you're so emotional. Oh my God, you take things so seriously. Like you're always feeling a type of way about something. Like sometimes you have to be an adult and just like, that's how life is. So I kind of like look at it from that perspective. And I'm like hearing that these are not my thoughts. These are other people's thoughts. And is this decision like I'm actually confident in this? And yes, I am. And then just seeing it and kind of talking to myself like, okay, how would this be perceived? And it's like, even if it's perceived in that way, do I really care? Is that going to change how I really feel about this? Is that going to change how any other action that I'm going to take? No. And it just makes me more like sure about myself. Like, yes, like this is it. This is what you're supposed to do. This is what you're supposed to say. Like, you don't have to dim yourself down in any way, and you don't have to do what other people are doing. It doesn't matter if somebody thinks differently. It's not your business. And I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
the Substack has been just making me more confident in who I am and just accepting myself as is. Just because I like to go back and read my work. As soon as somebody likes it, I'm like, let me read it from her perspective, his perspective. What does he say? What does he?
Mm,
And then it's like, even if that person views it in that way, doesn't matter. No, doesn't matter. And my
yeah.
biggest fear was kind of like my friends or like people that know me, because I haven't really been out. I've been off social media for the past 6 months. So
Wow.
nobody that I know knows that I have this. And I'm wondering like, how would I feel when I finally get back on Instagram and share this? Like, and it's like, it makes me kind of excited. Like people are actually going to know who I am, because most of what I've written over there, only people that are really, really close to me, which is not a lot of people, know who I am as a person.
Mm.
And it just makes me feel free that I'm just able to live my life now and just be myself regardless of what the reaction would be.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
yeah.
I will say the Substack community too is so lovely.
Yes.
Like out of any social media platform, and I work in social media, Substack truly, everyone is so kind on there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the reason why the community is so strong on the platform is because of people like you, everyday people that are just telling all of their thoughts and stories and vulnerabilities.
Yeah.
Because I remember I've read like literally hundreds of Substacks, and some people's pieces are so raw and
Yeah.
they're just like putting them out there.
Yes.
And one, so bold of them to just do that. But also, I think, too, in a way, being vulnerable to strangers is easier than being like vulnerable sometimes to like friends or family of
Mm-hmm.
like a stranger is just like has no context about any part of your life or who you are, but you're just
Mm-hmm.
telling them how it is. And I think
Yeah.
that level of vulnerability on Substack is the reason why the community is so kind and caring to everyone. And I
Mm-hmm.
can also see too when you're talking about how you've kind of found confidence in
Mm-hmm.
yourself through the platform. And maybe, I mean, the theory is because everyone is like so welcoming into the space
Mm-hmm.
that you can come off as however you want to present yourself and it's
Mm-hmm.
still going to be welcome with open arms. So I
Mm-hmm.
really love that you kind of talked about that. I do have one last question for you that
Okay.
I'm starting to ask more people. It's like the question that I end with. But my
Okay.
question is, what is something that you've learned over the past year that you're going to take into your next year of life?
I have so much, but let me see. I feel like I was a person that held back a lot of my affection, my love, and like my care in general, just because I didn't want to seem as somebody who was too soft. And sometimes if somebody treated me a certain way, I'm like, okay, well, I'll match their energy. And I've decided that that is not how I'm going to be living. Like, I'm just going to really just love in the way that is natural to me and just be caring in the way that is natural to me. And if somebody else is being a certain type of way, that just means that they're not my person or they're not my people. And I just, like it has nothing to do with who I am. And it doesn't mean that I need to stop or be, like cold towards anybody else or detached or anything like that. Like I can still just be a giver as I want to be and not hold back in the good parts of me. I just kind of just want to be myself, like I just don't want to be anybody else. I don't want to act like anybody else. And I don't want to have the world turn me into anything that I'm not like they did before. Like I just want to be a lover because that's just what's natural to me. And I don't want to hold back just because somebody else doesn't value my love. Like that just means it's not for them and it's fine. Somebody else will value it. So yeah.
At the end of the day, humans are all lovers. We're all lovers. We want to show love. Just sometimes the way that we show love is not for everyone.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like you have to matchmake with like your friends,
Mhm.
sometimes your family too, chosen family,
Mhm.
romantic relationships, work
Yeah.
life. It encompasses everything.
Yeah.
So I really love that answer to the question. I also too, I usually pick a quote to end each episode. So, what was also so funny about this podcast episode, as is all the other podcast episodes I've done with Substackers,
Mhm.
I have a set of questions and I never like actually ask all the questions that are set. I think out
Mhm.
of the ones that I literally have written here on the side,
Mhm.
I asked you two questions on this list that has like
I figured
15
just because it just
questions.
felt like we were just bouncing off of our conversation. So I'm
Exact.
like,
That's what it's
yeah, I
all
don't feel like
about, though.
should ask so
That's
many
what it's
questions,
all
which is
about.
good.
So
Yes.
let's see if the quote makes sense. The quote makes sense.
Okay.
But the quote that I picked is, "My humanity is bound up in yours, for we can only be human together." And that's from Desmond Tutu.
I love that.
Yeah. Well, ISO, thank you so, so much for joining the podcast. I love this conversation, specifically about like friendships and how to navigate them too. So,
Yeah.
I really appreciate our conversation. And for those listening, we'll see you next time.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really
Of
excited
course.
about this. I can't wait to see what this whole podcast turns up to be for you, just because I feel like you're doing a really great thing. And I feel like there's so many regular people that have so much great things to say. And like, just getting a little bit of everybody's story is just amazing. And I'm really excited for you, to be honest. And I can't wait to just see more of the stuff that you do. So I'm already a fan. And yeah,
Well, you can consider me a friend then. Thank you so
yes.
much. It was so sweet.